Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Check Me. Once again, we're popping off with some NFL free agency. There's some other things in the news as well, too, with some banter between players, Sauce Gardner, Miko Harmon. We also want to talk about Aaron Rodgers running as a vice president, if if that's going to happen. But I want to first start off with Russell Wilson and signing a one-year deal with the Steelers. I really think that's a great deal for both parties. I think it's something Russell Wilson can ideally need at this point in time in his career, just to work things out when it comes to the deal. So essentially, he signed a $1.2 million veterans deal with the Steelers. So essentially, a one-year audition. If he's doing well or trending well this year, you extend him. And I think that one big missing piece that we saw from the Steelers this year was mainly just the quarterback position. Inconsistent play with the quarterback position. So this helps them out. A good revitalization for Russell Wilson as well, too. Now, he still will get paid the $37.8 million on his previous contract from the Broncos, because the Broncos still have to pay him out on that since it was guaranteed money. But he will play on that $1.2 million one-year contract with the Steelers as he goes into this year. Now, I think it's important that when looking at the dynamic of Russell Wilson, we see that Russell Wilson over the years, this goes back to the Seattle Seahawks and what happened in the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson is a guy that came to the league and got superstar status very quickly. And he continued to live out that superstar status mainly because the Russell Wilson's lifestyle. Russell Wilson's lifestyle is something that's polarized and by mainstream society of somebody they want to market. Russell Wilson is a guy that really doesn't ruffle feathers, doesn't really create any controversy. He's a guy that's marketable to every day and everyone in culture. So Russell Wilson has had that superstar status last throughout the longevity of his career. What happened in Seattle kind of exposed, and I saw it before everyone else did. I saw it, and it exposed who Russell Wilson was for himself. So essentially in the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson threw a pick. Everyone blamed Pete Carroll. I think it was a great call. The situation. I have a whole other video on that if you want to check it out. But I think it was a great call in the Super Bowl. But here's why Russell Wilson essentially got. Here's why Russell Wilson got in the situation he was in, and why Russell Wilson is kind of disliked between a lot of players. When he threw that Super Bowl, when he threw that interception in the Super Bowl, Pete Carroll took the blame for the bad call. But essentially, it was a good call, but it was a bad throw. Russell Wilson, instead of throwing the ball low and inside the goal line, threw it high and outside where a defensive player can make a play. That's horrible ball placement for a quarterback. But what happened after that? Pete Carroll then stuck up for Russell Wilson for a long period of time and took the blame for that bad call. And we see over the years, many teams throw the ball to the goal line towards the end of the game, mainly because making usage of best of the time. So then there are other stories that came out as far as Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, how he handled himself in Seattle, not talking to people, not even be able to have Marshawn Lynch call his number, calling him on a blocked number, having his own office set up. And we saw some of those same things in Denver, where Sean Payton was like, "Hey, we're not having it." Do I think it gave Russell Wilson a bad name? No. I mean, do I think it gave Russell Wilson a bad name? I think he owned this name that he's had, and it's just coming to light. So we see a lot of these team camaraderie issues where Russell Wilson was somewhat protected when he was in Seattle. He wasn't protected in Denver, and then now he's going to a coach that's not going to have any of that. Russell Wilson has played a game where he doesn't. You're not seeing the real side of Russell Wilson, and what I mean by that is, well, you're seeing the real side of Russell Wilson, but there are tendencies that he has and there are character traits that make him dislikable from his demeanor. He should take responsibility outwardly, more than Pete Carroll did for that interception pass. That interception was not on Pete Carroll. The interception was on Russell Wilson. He threw the pick. He never vocally took responsibility for it. What Russell Wilson said, I need to stop saying his whole name, but what Wilson said was, what Russell Wilson said was, Malcolm Butler made a great play. No, you made a bad throw. Russell Wilson made a bad throw, and that's why that team was in position. The Patriots won a Super Bowl that nobody wanted them to win. So the taking responsibility, which we kind of saw in Denver a little bit, taking responsibility is something that he's gonna have to do more often, not just in the in the press stands, but also to his team, and he has to do it more often and more consistently. It's something he hasn't done. I think that's going to change with Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin is not going to allow that to kind of take place. This is going to be that environment that Mike Tomlin has. Is yes, he's a player's coach. At the same time, he's a no nonsense guy. I think that the one-on-one conversations that Russell Wilson can have and is going to have will help change his career. From this perspective, they're both Christians, so having a coach that is specifically believes in the same thing that you believe in, went through some trials and tribulations that are kind of like yours, and having those one-on-one conversations can help Russell Wilson be not only be a better person, but a Christian, but also a better leader. And Russell Wilson, I think he's led from one way, but he's never led from away from Mike Tomlin's style of leading, and I think that's very important. I do think that Mike Tomlin will lean on him, not just on his play, but also as being a leader in the locker room, but as well as be there to help Russell Wilson help hold Russell Wilson accountable. So I think it's great that Russell Wilson's going to the Steelers. I think that there's a lot they can trade off with this mutual benefit between the Steelers and Russell Wilson. I think this will help Russell Wilson grow as a leader and start taking accountability and responsibility for some of his actions, as well as learn how to lead. So I like the pickup for the Steelers. Speaking of the Steelers also are trading Deontay Johnson for Dante Johnson, as well as a pick swap in this offseason. I think it's going to be finalized. It reported by Adam Schefter, so it should be finalized real quick soon. I think it's a 7th-round pick, and then they're getting a 6th-round pick for the cornerback. So the Steelers are getting a 6th-round pick in Dante Johnson, and then the Panthers are getting Deontay Johnson as well as a 7th-round pick. Now, the thing that's pretty cool about it is, so you get the front end of the pick, and then they get the back end of the pick, so it's pretty much a similar pick. The thing about it is this: Deontay Johnson never evolved into that number one receiver the Steelers thought he was going to be. They thought it was Chase Claypool. They thought it was Deontay Johnson. The jury's still out on Pickens to see if he's that number one guy. But Deontay Johnson never evolved into that number one guy. And with the inconsistency of catching the passes, as well as some of the things he says not getting balls thrown his way, kind of drifted the Steelers away to make this trade happen. Deontay Johnson, I think, is an exceptional receiver. Do I think he's a certified 1? I don't think so. I think that we thought him as a 1, but he's really a good, solid 2, and he can be a 2 somewhere and really, or get paired with another solid 2 and make noise and make waves. So he never evolved into that solid 2 we thought he was. Steelers have been looking for a cornerback. And then I think this is something that, with the releasing Patrick Peterson, getting a guy like Dante Johnson, who's pretty much battled injuries over the last couple of years, but getting a guy like him, a speed guy, that may be able to fit into their scheme, that can cover, go alongside Joey Porter Jr. to get some good coverage snaps. So even though Deontay Johnson's leaving, he's on his final year of his contract, and it comes with a $10 million cap hit to the Panthers, leaving $5.8 million of dead cap in Pittsburgh. So he is leaving a money trail where he's going. I think Deontay Johnson, wherever he goes in, he'll nestle in very well. But leaving Carolina, Johnson leaving Carolina, pretty much J.C. Horn, who's about injuries, is coming back. I think there's something they want to add on the other side of him. They're looking for another quarterback to go on the other side, because Deontay Johnson really hasn't played to the level of his draft pick status personally that we've seen, as well as him battling injuries and the inconsistency of getting beat, as well as getting lost sometimes in zone coverage. So we'll see how that plays out. But I like the trade. I think it's a good even swap for the guys. So